recently conducted by the Right Resources Initiative, that's a global coalition working to secure the land rights of indigenous communities and local communities. 8 billion people currently occupy areas that would be considered important for biodiversity conservation. 1.6 to 1.8 billion. So we have now over 30 African governments out of 54 that have explicitly committed to the 30 by 30 target to have at least 30% of the waters and land masses under conservation by 2030. And if we are to go through conservation through the same approach of fortress conservation, removing people, shooting people, killing people, then we will be affecting a huge amount of people. We'll be dislocating a huge number of people. And that number that I've given you is global.
I'm Luther, and I'm representing the youth of ICA. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you. I was asked to talk on recommendations concerning ecosystem and biodiversity restoration in Africa. So today, studies have shown there's a lot of degradation that is ongoing. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN reports to have 4.7 million hectares of forests that are lost globally. Thank you. Thank you. This is not counting the impacts of climate change, and we can consider ourselves to be in a climate crisis, actually. So millions of Africans and youth, for that matter, are losing their livelihoods, and their ability reduction is going through a crisis as well. So this leaves us Africans in a vulnerable position to climate change impacts. More so, our indigenous people and local communities whose livelihoods are very strongly and intricately intertwined, we are already aware of. To this loss include habitat loss and fragmentation, because we need land for agriculture, we need land for infrastructure. So we go for these fragile systems. There's of course global warming and climate change, which I mentioned. Over exploitation of our resources, because we're looking for more, so we go for more. There's also pollution, but this is just to mention a few. There are many others. But there's hope. Today, African countries and nations are demonstrating leadership and their commitment to land restoration. So we have programs that are ongoing now, some of which you already know. And these have large-scale programs have targets. For example, have we heard of the Great Green Wall? We have also the African Forest Landscape Restoration Initiative. We call it AFR 100. Yeah. So these are some of the initiatives which aim to restore our forest landscapes, with over 100 million hectares being restored across Africa by 2030. So a very encouraging initiative. Yeah. So if we go by this example of the Landscape Restoration Initiative, it looks at an inclusive approach towards holistic restoration. So basically, it includes the whole achievement of a sustainable food, water, and energy security, climate change mitigation, and harnessing sustainable development and green economy opportunities for Africa. These efforts will, however, be futile if we do not come together and if there are no structures and mechanisms that will ensure equitable inclusion of all shareholders, IPLCs included. So various recommendations have been made to ensure the success of ecosystem recommendations, which I'm going to read, but these are also limited they're not exhaustive. So I will look forward to more from the experts that are already in the room. So one of them is establishing an ecosystem landscape restoration program to build on indigenous knowledge and local knowledge. The experts are in the communities. Second is to build on country level consortium for collaborative work. Previous presenters have talked of collaboration, partnership. So this is very important as we keep repeating it. Third is to develop and strengthen a good communication strategy to inform governments and other actors on ecosystem restoration initiatives and demonstrate with evidence success stories from across Africa. Our culture of storytelling can communicate largely to the people that we want to reach, including government, for action. So let's tell our stories, develop a funding strategy and programs, and accompanying financial mechanisms to support ecosystem restoration, and increase access to this funding by IPLCs. Develop effective policies and institutional frameworks that attract investments towards ecosystem restoration, and then put in place an integrated and adaptive landscape management approach. There is also the aspect of public-private partnerships and multi-stakeholder collaborations, which are geared towards trans-boundary actions. I think the issue of trans-boundary land management is also very key to our discussions. And then we have support development of alternative livelihoods and enterprise based on nature positive approaches to build resilience. We cannot escape from finding alternatives because climate change is forcing us to look for alternatives. So we need to see that. Promote a good interaction between research and development and transfer of technology at different levels while domesticating some lessons learned and storage of key information. So we need to document our indigenous knowledge. Well, these are some of the recommendations. Ecosystem restoration and conservation has to be community-led and tailored to the community, to the local context, to ensure that indigenous knowledge is prioritized and includes youth and women. Engagement processes like this one that IUC that has gracefully provided for us can be an opportunity for transformational learning where diverse knowledge and stakeholders can come together for a more impactful decision making. Our communities need to benefit from their resources, and restoration and conservation activities need to make sense to diverse local people. And this is because if indigenous peoples and local communities do not see the importance of the efforts that we're putting, then we can as well cut them out. So it's very important for their livelihoods, food security, businesses, and opportunities for general well-being. So in as much as we're calling for policies, let us make them people-centered to increase their resilience. As a reminder, 2021 to 2030 is the decade for, it was declared the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration to facilitate global cooperation for restoration, starting from the grassroots. I think from the grassroots will be the priority if we are able to achieve these goals that were set before us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruta. I think that what we got from our presentation is
that huge amount of our lands are in total degradation and millions of people are going to lose their livelihood base. And this has an impact on women, youth, indigenous, and local communities. She said we are experiencing climate crisis. I think nobody would say so. And from the recommendations, I think just some few that I took note of: establishment of an ecosystem restoration mechanism, develop a robust community strategy, a communication strategy, develop funding strategies, which should go down to IPLCs. Public-private partnerships are important. Transboundary management is also crucial. Alternative livelihood options should also be encouraged. Those are a few things from her presentation. I will be calling on our next presenter. I don't know if Mr. Lunes is there. Is he ready for the presentation? Okay. So we will be calling on Mr. Lunes Belkosen. We will be doing a presentation on sustainable finance and direct funding of IPLC's organization in search for the paradigm shift in conservation funding. Mr. Lunes, you have the floor.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous, je suis désolé, je parle en français, donc les non-francophones sont obligés de prendre leurs écouteurs. Je dois parler vous présenter en fait, le travail